Toy Story is one of the greatest movies ever created, and like anything, there are secrets, theories, and facts about this franchise that you might not know. So today, I'm going over the Toy Story Iceberg. If I got anything wrong while researching, please let me know, as I am very interested in learning more about this franchise. Anyway, let's get started. First full-length animated film. Toy Story released in 1995. Disney is still king of the 2D film, and Pixar decides to release this. It wasn't just a movie, it was a massive technical gamble that would soon change the entire industry overnight. But they didn't know that, and honestly, if this had flopped for some reason, we'd probably still be watching hand-drawn sequels today. Andy is the original owner. He's the catalyst for the entire story, and without him, the toys really don't have a purpose. That's pretty much it. Sid is the villain, though if you think about it, he's honestly just a creative kid who didn't know his toys were sentient. He's pretty much the exact mirror to Andy. He takes things apart while Andy keeps them together. I'm with Stupid was actually one of the working titles for the movie. They thought that Toy Story was very uninspired. Another title that was included was Crime Fighters of the Galaxy. Yeah, I can't even imagine that one. Real life toys. Pixar didn't want generic knockoffs. They fought to get names like Mr. Potato Head and Slinky into the film. These toys were real before the movie was even released. Mr. Potato Head and Slinky Dog date back to the 1950s as revolutionary toys of that era. Other real toys include the Barrel of Monkeys, the Green Army Men, and of course, the Etch-a-Sketch. Bonnie is the second era of the franchise. She's the kid who inherits the legacy in Toy Story 3. She basically represents the cycle of starting all over again for a new generation. AI. Back in 1995, they used early flocking algorithms to handle most of the background characters. Instead of animating every single army man, they let the computer figure out how a group should move. It's very primitive by today's standards, but back then, this was considered magic. 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. This one's pretty self-explanatory, but Toy Story is the first movie basically set at a perfect score on Rotten Tomatoes. It's one of the few films that almost everyone, both critics and audiences, actually agree is a perfect film. Buddy Pictures. This was the main creative hook. It's not a musical, it's a buddy cop movie with toys. Woody and Buzz start off hating each other and end up as brothers. It's a classic trope and it was used perfectly. Sequels. I'm not too sure what sequels is referring to, but I assume it's the case where the sequels are actually considered as good as the original, at least until we got into the later entries, which people still debate today. Divine Child Voice Box. This is mainly for the collectors. A YouTuber named Divine Child basically showcased a pull-string Woody voice box that includes the actual voice of Tom Hanks that was taken from Pixar's original audio archive. Why is this important, you may ask? Well, for all of the Woody merchandise, the voice is actually provided by Jim Hanks, Tom Hanks' brother. So a voice box featuring the original audio is a big deal. Soft and Huggable Woody 2019. From what I could find, this specific doll is part of a more affordable line of Woody dolls. Like its title suggests, it's a soft version of the normal one. Bootlegs. Whenever a franchise gets as big as Toy Story, the market gets flooded with very low quality knockoffs. Some of these 90s bootleg Woody and Buzz figures are genuinely terrifying. I definitely recommend looking through some of the bootlegs out there because it's a whole rabbit hole of cursed imagery. Toy Story 2 was almost deleted. This is arguably the most famous production disaster in history. An animator accidentally ran a delete command on a master server, and they watched the entire movie disappear in real time. The only reason it exists today is because the technical director, Gail Suzman, was working from home because she recently had a baby and luckily had a backup on her personal computer. A Tin Toy Christmas. This was the original title for what was supposed to be a half-hour TV special. It was supposed to be proof that Pixar could make a feature-length film. However, once they were actually able to create one, it got cancelled. It eventually evolved into the feature film we know as Toy Story. Pizza Planet Truck. Pizza Planet Truck is the ultimate Pixar Easter egg. It started appearing here and there, and has appeared in almost every single Pixar movie since. That's pretty much it. Character interviews. For the home video releases, Pixar animated interviews with the toys as if they were real actors on a set. It's a great bit of world building that treats the toys like professionals just doing an acting job. Video games. Most movie tie-in games are trash, but the Toy Story games, especially the SNES Genesis original and the Toy Story 2 open world game, were actually surprisingly good and very difficult. My favorite is Toy Story 3 for the Xbox 360. It is also the only one I've played. Andy's mom is Emily. This is technically a theory, but it's somewhat accepted as fact. The red hat Andy wears in the first movie isn't a Woody hat, it's the exact same hat Jesse's original owner, Emily, wore. It implies Jesse was essentially passed down through the family without anyone realizing it. Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. Buzz Lightyear of Star Command is the 2D animated series from the early 2000s. In the Toy Story universe, this is the actual cartoon Andy would have grown up watching. Multi-phrase voice simulator. This refers to the tech inside the high-end Buzz Lightyear toys. It was a big deal at the time because it allowed the toy to say a massive variety of different lines, making it feel premium compared to the others. Movie-accurate Woody. For decades, collectors were obsessed with finding a Woody that actually matched the film's proportions and materials. It took years for companies like Thinkway's Signature Collection and Medicom to finally release a doll that wasn't a cheap toy version but a movie-accurate replica. When She Loved Me made the actors cry. When Randy Newman first played the song for Tom Hanks and Tim Allen, they both visibly broke down in tears. It's the moment the franchise proved it could actually handle heavy grief. Banned 1995 Woody doll. The original Thinkway Woody had the pull string located right on his lower tailbone area. Parents complained it looked suggestive when he pulled it, so it was pulled from shelves and the string was moved higher up in the later versions. However, I cannot find any pictures of this banned Woody doll, so I'm not too sure on that. Zurg Vision. A specific Zurg toy feature that lets you see through the eyes of the villain. That's pretty much it. Oscars Animation. Toy Story was the first animated film ever nominated for Best Original Screenplay. Since there was no Best Animated Feature category in 1995, the Academy gave John Lasseter a Special Achievement Award. It was their way of saying, we don't know what this is, but it's huge. Movie-accurate Buzz Lightyear's voice box. To the casual fan, a Buzz toy is a Buzz toy, but to the diehards, the voice box is everything. There is an entire community of prop builders who track down the specific high-pitched speakers and chips used in the film because the store-bought toys never sounded right compared to the movie. Jessie is in the Cowgirl Hall of Fame. This is a weirdly wholesome real fact. In 2002, Jessie was actually inducted into the National Cowgirl Museum and Hall of Fame. She was the first fictional character to ever get in. Woody's Roundup merch. In the Toy Story 2 lore, Woody was a 50s icon. Disney capitalized on this by releasing retro merch that looked like it was from 1958. It's a meta layer of marketing, selling you real toys that are meant to be fake vintage toys from a fictional show. Black Friday Reel. This is the big one. On November 19th, 1993, Pixar showed Disney a rough cut where Woody was being an absolute jerk. He intentionally throws Buzz out the window and verbally abuses Slinky. It's genuinely uncomfortable to watch.
I know you'd do the same for me.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, there you go. Whoa! Whoa! Hey, he slipped. I tried to. I couldn't hold that. It was he slipped. Hey, I don't see him. I think he fell onto the street.
Cowboy, where is your honor, dirtbag? You are an absolute disgrace. You don't deserve to wear a 10-gallon hat on your pint-sized head. Men, search and rescue. I want a medevac team on the double. Hustle up. Move it, move it, move it. Hey.
The Brave Little Toaster. The Brave Little Toaster is the spiritual ancestor. Many Pixar founders worked on this film about sentient objects dealing with abandonment. If you watch them back to back, the DNA is basically the same. There is no such thing as beyond infinity. It's just a logic gag. You can't go beyond infinity. It highlights that Buzz's entire personality is built on this nonsensical catchphrase. Toy Story 3 is the Holocaust. This is a heavy theory, but it's impossible to ignore once you kind of see it and fit it together. People point out the parallels, like the characters being rounded up, shipped off to a place where they're put to work, and the final scene in the incinerator, it's just a grim metaphor for being disposable. Adult humor. These movies are packed with jokes for the parents, from the hooker toy in Sid's room, literally a pair of legs with a fishing rod, to Buzz's wings popping out the second he sees Jessie do a stunt. It's just classic 90s, 2000s Pixar. Toy Story 1991 animation test. The first time Woody and Buzz ever moved in CGI. It looks like a fever dream. The models are stiff, the lighting is really harsh, and Woody looks like he's made out of polished wood. February 3rd, 1993 ideas for Woody's full-string dialogue lines. These were early script notes. They had Woody saying things like, "I'd like to join your posse, fellas, but first I'm gonna sing a little song, and of course, there's a snake in my boot." The handwritten ones were actually improvised by Tom Hanks while recording, so that's pretty cool. Woody was a ventriloquist dummy. Originally, Woody wasn't a soft rag doll, he was a hard-headed ventriloquist dummy with a moving jaw. Disney thought he looked too creepy, so they made him the floppy cowboy we know now.
Andy's friends are just him in different clothes.
This is just a classic technical shortcut. To save money, Pixar just reused Andy's character model for all of the kids at his birthday party. All they did was swap hair and shirts, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Lunar Larry. This was Buzz's original name. He also wore a red suit instead of a green and white. Toy Story Treats. These were tiny 15 to 30 second skits that aired on ABC Saturday mornings. They were low budget and used way simpler models, but they provided some weird non-canon interactions between the toys. Extended range sequence. I'm pretty sure this refers to the extended deleted scene when Woody is trapped under a crate and he tries to escape but makes noise and almost wakes up Sid. Eastern Gate. This is a deep cut regarding the Pizza Planet map. In early production notes, the Eastern Gate was a specific entrance that led to a deleted sequence involving a baby and Woody. It's a pretty long scene, so I'll just show you the baby parts.
He's been left unguarded!
No, it hasn't! He's fine! Buzz, come back! Buzz, come back! Heal, Buzz, heal!
Don't worry, Andy. No one gets by Buzz Lightyear.
Jessie was originally a cactus. In the early drafts of Toy Story 2, the female lead wasn't a cowgirl. She was a cactus, a sassy, somewhat villainous character who was supposed to tempt Woody to stay at the museum. Thankfully, they realized a cactus isn't huggable and swapped her for Jessie. Bullseye originally talked. Early concepts had Bullseye as a talking sidekick, similar to Donkey from Shrek. They eventually realized he was much more charming and pet-like if he just stayed silent, which made his bond with Woody and Jessie feel more genuine. Godzilla Rex. This refers to the early animation tests where Rex was actually supposed to be a terrifying, realistic dinosaur. It could also be referring to a deleted scene where Rex acts like Godzilla. What a Wonderful World. This Louis Armstrong classic was the original temp track used for the Moving Day sequence. It gives the scene a much more ironic, bittersweet feel before Randy Newman's score took over. Wagon Train. This was the internal nickname for the first movie. Wagon Train to the Stars was Star Trek, so they pitched Toy Story as Wagon Train to the Toy Box. Andy's mom's hair. If you noticed, Andy's mom always has her hair in a short, simple bob or a ponytail. That wasn't a fashion choice. Hair physics were the final boss of 90s CGI, so keeping her hair short saved the team months of rendering time and kept the computers from literally melting. Andy's coming. The famous trend or challenge where people drop to the ground, there's a persistent urban legend that if you yell this at Disney parks, the characters would drop. And from what I could find, they did do that for a while, but it became a massive safety hazard, so they officially banned the practice years ago. Toy Story 1, there's a snake in my boots. It's just the classic line. Toy Story 3, there's a snake in my boot. Notice the change? In Toy Story 3, the voice box is older and weathered. In the merch release for the third film, the line was often singular, boot, instead of a plural, boots. It's a tiny detail that collectors obsessed over to see if it was a mistake or a sign of Woody's age. RMF97. I'm guessing this is a reference to the directory associated with the Toy Story 2 deletion incident. It's the technical address of where the movie just almost died. Toy Story 4 2016-2017 version. Before the movie we got in 2019, there was a completely different version written by Rashida Jones and Will McCormick. It was reportedly much more of a romantic comedy and focused almost entirely on the search for Bo Peep. When they left the project, the script was massively overhauled. Luxo lamp. This is the iconic Pixar lamp. It's based on the 1986 short Luxo Jr., which was the first time the world realized you could give a desk lamp emotions through CGI. A113. This is the classroom number at Cal Arts where many Pixar greats studied. It's in almost every movie, usually on a license plate, or a door, or sometimes a hidden code. Divine Child Creative Rebellion. This refers to the collector, Divine Child, and their rebellion against Disney's official toy releases, or it's just a username. From what I could find, he creates movie-accurate replicas of various characters. Woody's unedited voice box lines. There are recordings of the raw, clean audio Tom Hanks did for the toys before they added the scratchy pull string filter. Hearing Woody's voice without that mechanical hiss though is strangely unsettling. It actually sounds like Tom Hanks is trapped inside Woody.
Reach for the sky! Born home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play.
Green alien people. This refers to the original concept art for the Pizza Planet aliens. They weren't always little green men with 3 eyes. Some early designs looked much more humanoid, almost like people in alien suits, which was arguably way creepier than the cute squeaky toys we ended up with. Wheezy Easter egg in Toy Story 10th Anniversary DVD. On the 2005 10th Anniversary DVD, there's a hidden menu where you can find the claw game and extra outtakes. It was a big deal for fans because it showed Pixar was still hiding secrets even on their old discs. 1994 Thinkway prototypes. These are the holy grails of toy collecting. Before the movie was even finished, Thinkway was making hand-painted, rough prototypes of Woody and Buzz. These look slightly uncanny because the proportions weren't finalized yet. If you find one of these in the box somewhere, you've basically found a very small fortune. Zurg's original design. Before he was the purple Darth Vader parody we know, Zurg looked more like a generic silver retro robot. The decision to make him purple and give him the horns was a later addition to make him better foil for Buzz's Space Ranger aesthetic. Toy Story, a Pixar production. This refers to the original title card. Before Disney became the dominant brand on every poster, the branding was a Pixar production. Anthony Van Bruggen Thinkway Toys. Anthony Van Bruggen was a lead designer at Thinkway. He's the reason the signature collection, the high-end movie-accurate stuff, exists.
Al appears in Toy Story 1.
I'm guessing this refers to the commercial that Buzz sees while in SIDS. Although Al isn't physically in the story, he does get mentioned in the commercial that Buzz watches in SIDS, so technically he is in the movie. 2008 Thinkway prototypes. These were the prototypes for the Toy Story 3 Signature Collection. This was a turning point because it was the first time Thinkway used the actual digital assets from the Pixar servers to make the toy molds. Ultra Buzz Lightyear 2000 footage and concept art. This refers to a cancelled or extremely limited high-end Buzz toy that was supposed to have chrome armor and more advanced electronics than the 1995 version. You can still find some of the concept art for the packaging online. Turner and Hooch animation test. This is the birth of Woody. Before Tom Hanks was even signed on, Pixar took audio from his movie Turner and Hooch, specifically him yelling at the dog, and synced it to a 3D model of Woody. That test was what convinced everyone that the character finally had a soul.
Oh, no, you're eating the car! Don't eat the car! Not the car! Oh, you stupid!
Purple Buzz in a Toy Story 2 animation test. This is a famous technical test. For Toy Story 2, they needed to test how glossy Buzz's suit looked under the new lighting engine. They rendered him entirely in purple to see how the environment reflected off his plastic. Torture. This isn't just about Sid blowing toys up, it refers to the psychological interrogation scene in the first movie where Woody is trapped under a crate and Sid is using a magnifying glass to burn a hole in his forehead. It was a very grounded, stressful scene for a kids movie, and originally it was even longer and more graphic. The Fool. This is a reference to the sad, strange little man scene. In some deep dive character analysis, Buzz is seen as the fool, the archetype of someone living in a total delusion until reality hits him like a truck. Buzz Lightyear theme song. Most people know the Randy Newman stuff, but there is an actual Star Command theme song written for the in-universe Buzz Lightyear brand. It sounds like a cheesy 80s space opera theme, highlighting just how commercialized Buzz Lightyear was meant to be. Made in Taiwan. This is a huge piece of lost lore. In the original Circle 7 script for Toy Story, before Disney bought Pixar and scrapped it, the plot revolved around Buzz being recalled to a factory in Taiwan. The other toys have to travel across the world to save him before he's dismantled. Plastic Spaceman. This was Woody's go-to insult for Buzz, but it also refers to an early song concept. Toy Story 4 alternate ending. There is a confirmed, fully animated alternate ending where Woody doesn't leave with Bo Peep. In this version, Bo Peep realizes she belongs with a kid again and goes back, and Woody stays with the group. It's a much safer ending that test audiences reportedly found less impactful, therefore the one we know now was chosen. Toy Story workprint deleted scene Andy's room. I'm guessing this refers to the Shake the Rattle sequence from the workprint. In a deleted scene, Woody learns about a baby rattle in Sid's room who has been shaken so hard by Sid that he stopped making noise. It was deemed too dark because it was essentially a toy brain death metaphor, so yeah, it was scrapped. Pixar existed since the 1970s. This is just a fact. Pixar didn't start in 1995. They started in 1979 as a graphics group, part of the computer division at Lucasfilm. They were making technical shorts and rendering tech for decades before they even touched a feature film. Mid-2010s animation test using audio from Galaxy Quest. Just like the Turner and Hooch test for Woody, Pixar used Tim Allen's audio from Galaxy Quest, where he plays a washed-up sci-fi actor, to test Buzz's facial expressions for Toy Story. Woody's scream is reused. That iconic high-pitched scream Tom Hanks did with Woody, Pixar loved it so much that they archived it. You can hear that exact same scream being reused multiple times throughout the movie. Toy Story 2 Stinky Pete the Prospector pulls string phrases. Even though Stinky Pete is mint in box in the movie, the production team actually wrote and recorded a full set of Western catchphrases for him, like "she's gonna blow" and of course "yeehaw." They eventually released a real-world toy that used these lines, even though the character was technically a villain. Woody's Nightmare deleted cut. In Toy Story 2, there's that scene where Andy tells Woody he doesn't want to play with him anymore and drops him into the trash can filled with severed arm toys. The deleted storyboard version was longer and way more intense. It felt more like a psychological horror film than a nightmare about a kid's toy. Sid Vicious. Sid Phillips was named after Sid Vicious from the Sex Pistols. The name fits, he's the punk rock destructive force of the first movie. Secret Life. Early on, the concept for the movie was literally referred to as the secret life of toys. Pixar wanted to explore the idea that toys aren't just objects, but beings with their own culture, rules, and fears that only exist when humans aren't looking. Alternate openings. Every Toy Story movie had multiple failed openings. For Toy Story 1, there was a version involving a Western-style shootout that was way more elaborate. For Toy Story 3, there was an opening that involved a Combat Carl-style rescue mission that eventually got scrapped for the train heist sequence we know today. Toys Can Cry. In the first movie, Woody actually sheds a single tear when he thinks Andy has replaced him. It confirms that toys don't just feel emotions, they have biological or physical capacity to express grief. Andy's hat. This is the holy grail of theories. Look at Andy's hat in the first movie, it's red with a white lace band. Now look at Jesse's hat in the second movie. They are identical. The fact is, Andy's hat is a faded version of the hat Emily, Jesse's original owner, wore. Andy knows Jesse's name. At the end of Toy Story 2, Andy gets the Roundup Gang and immediately knows Jesse and Bullseye's names. He didn't see the show and nobody told him. Most fans assume he just read the names on the boxes or the tags, but in the moment, it feels like he just knows. Sid's gun training poster. I honestly couldn't find where this poster was located, but the picture on screen is the poster Sid has. Scud is trained. Scud, Sid's dog, isn't just a mean dog. Sid actually gives him specific commands, and he's trained to hunt and neutralize toys. Andy knows how to sew. In the first movie, Andy's mom is the one who handles the toys, but by the end of Toy Story 2, Andy is the one sewing Woody's arm back on. It's a subtle bit of character growth. He's gone from a kid who just plays with toys to a caretaker who now knows how to repair them. Ultimate Space Ranger Buzz Lightyear Deluxe figure phrases. This refers to the high-end $100 Ultimate Buzz figures released by companies like Thinkway. These toys had a specific deluxe voice chip that included dialogue and sound effects that weren't in the movie or the standard toys. Collectors track these down specifically for those lost lines of dialogue. The Big One. This is the name of the rocket Sid straps to Buzz. It's a Big One M80 firework. The fact here is that in the UK and certain international releases, Disney had to digitally alter the warning labels on the rocket or cut frames because they were terrified kids would actually try this real M80 to blow up their own toys. Buzz can fly. Buzz spends the whole film delusional, thinking he can fly, then he has the existential crisis and realizes he's just a toy. But in the finale, when he falls with style, he actually achieves sustained flight. So basically, he only achieves his dreams after he accepts his reality. That's basically it. Toy Story 4 was a cash grab. While this is a common fan complaint, the actual side is the production mess. Toy Story 3 was marketed as the definitive end. I even remember it being the end. The development of Toy Story 4 was plagued by the departure of the original writers, Rashida Jones and Will McCormick, and the exit of John Lasseter. It was a project that Disney pushed for, even when Pixar's creative leads weren't sure the story needed to be told.
Sarge full dialogue.
There are hours of full dialogue recordings of him barking orders that were never used, but they were used by the animators to get the energy of the army men right. Sarge's kill chant. In early sound tests for the Green Army Men, the production team used actual military cadence chants. One of them included the kill 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 chant used in bayonet training. It was obviously removed for being too aggressive for a Disney movie, but the audio exists in the Pixar archives as part of their authentic military research. Pixar nearly ended before it started. We briefly touched on this, but this version is how close it actually came. Steve Jobs was losing over $1 million a month on Pixar in the early 90s. He was in active talks to sell the company to Microsoft. If Toy Story hadn't become a massive #1 hit, Pixar would have been absorbed into Microsoft as a software wing, and the movie would have been a forgotten relic. Sid's room is in his attic. If you look at the house's exterior and then the interior of Sid's room, the sloped ceilings and small windows confirm he's in an attic. Sid's dartboard. I honestly have no clue what Sid's dartboard is referring to, but I've looked at various scenes of Sid's dartboard and nothing really caught my attention, so if you do know, please comment below. Today I Grew Up. The YouTube channel Today I Grew Up is essentially the world's leading historian on Toy Story merchandise. He is the one who tracked down most of the prototype and movie accurate info that make up these icebergs. He also sells his own merchandise, so if you're interested, pay a visit to his channel. Toy Story 2 UK TV first time segments. When Toy Story 2 premiered on TV in the UK, it featured exclusive animated bumpers and behind-the-scenes skits that were never released on the US DVDs or Blu-rays. For a long time, these were considered lost media until fans were able to record them from old DVDs. Whack-an' Alien is bleeding. Look at the Whack-a-Mole game in Pizza Planet. Around the holes where the aliens pop up, there are red splatters painted on the plastic. It's a direct graphic reference to the chestburster scene from the 1979 movie Alien. Buzz Toy Mode face changing in each movie. In Toy Mode, when he's frozen, Buzz's eyes and mouth are supposed to be static plastic. However, as the rendering technology improved from 1995 to 2019, Pixar subtly changed his frozen expression to various different ones, some with an open mouth, others closed. Makes me wonder how Andy or no one noticed him. Sid died in an early draft. In the ultra-dark 1993 Black Friday era, the animosity wasn't just between the toys. There are persistent rumors and storyboard fragments suggesting that Sid's punishment by the toys was originally going to be much more permanent, or at least far more physically scarring. Before Disney executives stepped in to remind Pixar they were making a film for children. Lotso got Pixar sued. A company called Dies Lisa, I don't know if I pronounced that right, they sued Disney, claiming they owned the intellectual property for the Lotso Hug Bears. They argued that Pixar's use of Lotso infringed on their patents for huggable technology and trademarks. It was a messy, multi-year legal battle that Disney eventually won, but it was a big stain on the character's production history. You've got an enemy. Before the iconic You've Got a Friend in Me, Randy Newman allegedly experimented with a much more cynical, adversarial song to reflect Woody's jealousy. It was a temp track feel that leaned into the buddy cop rivalry rather than the friendship. She's Gone, Woody. A haunting line from the
I was wrong. I believe this actually refers to the creepypasta where someone buys a Genesis and plays Toy Story, only to discover a disturbing, altered version of the game where characters die and Woody spirals into madness.
Andy in Toy Story 4. When the first trailers for Toy Story 4 dropped, the internet went into a meltdown over Andy's flashback model. He looked so fundamentally different from Toy Story 1 and 3, but I assume Pixar just updated his rendering to match modern standards. Nonetheless, the new Andy remains a point of contention for many viewers. Randy Newman controversies. Randy Newman is a satirist at heart, known for edgy and often misunderstood songs early in his career, like the song called Short People. There was a period where Disney was genuinely worried that his cynical reputation would clash with the wholesome image of Toy Story. Buzz off. This was almost Buzz Lightyear's primary catchphrase. It was an aggressive jab that matched the Lunar Larry personality. It was eventually ditched for To Infinity and Beyond because Buzz Off made him sound like a jerk rather than a hero who was just confused. Original Circle 7 film contract. In the early 2000s, Disney and Pixar had a falling out. Because of a loophole in their contract, Disney, under Circle 7 Animation Division, began development on Toy Story 3 without Pixar. It would have involved Buzz being recalled to a factory in Taiwan, which we touched on earlier. The only reason it was scrapped is because Disney eventually bought Pixar entirely to just stop the madness. More edge. This was the literal note from Disney executives in the early 90s. They told Pixar that Toy Story was too sweet and needed more edge. Pixar took that note and ran a mile with it and then created the infamous Black Friday reel. The result was so mean-spirited that Disney shut down production for weeks. Sid is Andy's cousin. This is a long-standing fan theory. They live in the same neighborhood, and it would explain why Andy's mom doesn't seem to care that the neighbor's kid is a literal sociopath, because she's just dealing with family. There's zero canon proof of this theory, I believe, but it definitely is a staple for theories. Woody was a prototype. In the lore of Toy Story 2, Al mentions Woody is a rare find. The theory is that in Woody's Roundup universe, the Woody doll was a high-end, hand-stitched prototype or a limited-run promotional item before the show was cancelled due to the space age. Lost scenes. I'm guessing this refers to the various lost scenes like the boxing scene and the Shakes the Rattle scene. They only exist now in storyboard form or in low-res work prints. Deleted version of Toy Story 2. In 1998, Pixar had a version of Toy Story 2 that was essentially a direct-to-video movie. It was flat, the lighting was bad, and the story was very weak. Pixar's leadership hated it so much that they famously threw it in the trash and rebuilt the entire movie from scratch in just 9 months. Toy Story on Ice found media. For years, the 1996 Toy Story on Ice show was a piece of lost media. We only had blurry photos and memories. Recently, fans have unearthed high-quality VHS rips of the full performance. Seeing people in mascot suits recreate 3D animation on ice skates is a fever dream that you can't unsee. Real-life Buzz Lightyear Signature Collection. The Signature Collection by Thinkway is the closest we have ever come to the real digital files being manifested into plastic. It uses the actual data from Pixar's servers to ensure everything is a one-to-one match. Original designs of Sid's toys. Early sketches by artists like Dan Haskett show that Sid's mutant toys were originally much more grotesque. They had to be toned down to keep the movie from turning into a straight-up horror movie. Shakes the Rattle. In the early work print, Woody learns about a baby rattle toy in Sid's room that has been shaken so many times that its internal rattle is broken. It's basically a metaphor for brain death, so Disney cut it out entirely. Tiger Teething Ring. I believe this was a deleted background toy in Sid's room that was supposed to speak about the tales of Shakes the Rattle, but of course it was all cut due to how dark it was. Toy Story 3 Alternate Ending. This refers to the famous creepypasta. A fan edited the movie to basically end exactly as the toys accept their fate in the furnace, practically burning alive. It's a legendary creepypasta, but I just hope a parent didn't think this was the official ending. Andy's dad died of polio. This was a theory from Joe Ranft, which claims this was the intended backstory. The idea is that Andy's dad had polio as a kid, recovered, but died of post-polio syndrome before the first movie. It's a heavy, detailed theory that explains why Andy has a rare prototype Woody. It was his father's. ToyStory2.exe. This is your standard internet horror story. It's a lost episode style hoax involving a haunted or corrupted version of the movie. It's purely an internet legend, but it's a staple of the dark side of the fandom. Buzz's self-deletion. Obviously I can't say the word on YouTube, but this is a psychological reading of the first movie. When Buzz tries to fly out the window and his arm snaps off, it's seen by some as a moment of self-deletion. He knows he can't fly, but he tries anyway because he'd rather be broken than be just a toy. It's a very dark beat for a kid's film. When She Loved Me deleted cut. The original storyboards for Jesse's montage were even more heartbreaking. There were extra scenes showing Jesse sitting in the donation box for much longer, while Emily's mom just drives insanely and eventually runs over Jesse inside the box. Woody's mistake. This is a term used by Pixar historians to describe the Black Friday reel. The mistake was the creative decision to make Woody an abusive, narcissistic villain. Toy Story 0. I believe this refers to the 1988 short film Tin Toy. It's the literal ancestor of the franchise. Wheezy's public execution. This refers to a fan-made lost media that was made with Wheezy and Woody. Other than that, I can't find any other information on this. Al committed self-deletion. A dark interpretation of the end of Toy Story 2. In his final commercial, Al is shown crying and broken because he lost his golden ticket. The theory suggests that his financial and professional ruin led to a tragic end. It's purely fan speculation, but it highlights the stakes of the adult world. Toy companies don't allow toy mode faces on real-life toys. In the movies, toys have a vacant, wide-eyed look when they are in toy mode. Retailers like Hasbro and Mattel almost never replicate this because static eyes look dead on a shelf, which scares off kids. Toy Story: The Essential Guide 1999 edition. Lore. This book contains some facts and information about all the characters in the film. It details the components of the toys, so it's basically like the medical textbook for plastic toys. Hasbro Woodies. Before Thinkway became the primary toy partner, Hasbro made a limited number of Woody dolls that look significantly different and much more cheaper than the final versions. They are definitely a rare find. Black Friday Reel full version. This is the infamous clip where Woody turns evil and throws Buzz out the window. Woody is a pure jerk in this and eventually leads to the other toys turning on him.
I'd just like to wish you luck. I know you'd do the same for me.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, there you go. Whoa! Ho! Off the bed!
You gonna make us, Woody?
No, he is. Slinky! Slinky! Get up here and do your job! Are you deaf? I said take care of them!
I'm sorry, Woody, but I have to agree with them. I don't think what you did was right.
What? Am I hearing correctly? You don't think I was right? Who said your job was to think, Spring Wiener?
Well, I just thought that you...
Just use this vast reserve of brain power to consider this for a moment. If it wasn't for me, Andy wouldn't pay any attention to you at all. In fact, my sketchy friend, you would have been hauled away to Goodwill a long time ago, so shut your mouth and get them off the bed.
Here he is, that dirtbag! Frag him! Move, move, move! Take no prisoners! Go for him! Go for the nose! Kill!
One, two... Stop! Don't throw him off the bed!
Yeah.
Throw him out the window like he did to Buzz!
And that was the Toy Story Iceberg. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please be sure to leave any suggestions on what I should make next or to cover next. I put a lot of work into this video, so I hope I got the majority of things right, but then again, some of the stuff was very hard to find. But if not, please comment below. I'd love to hear the true story to a certain topic or something that I might have missed. Anyway, thank you for watching.